Hello everyone, I want to give some more thoughts on the millennial passage from Revelation 20 today, and we're going to focus our time on the phrase known as a little while or a short time that's in verse 3, the end of verse 3. So first of all, we need to establish the sequence, which is first the angel comes down and locks the devil into the pit, and he'll be locked there for 1,000 years. Then we read a little bit later that during this time the martyrs will reign with Christ for 1,000 years. This is the first resurrection. And then we read at the end of that period, Satan will be let out and he will be set free for a short time. Now, one proposal is that some say that the millennium time is to come. Some say that we are living in the millennial kingdom right now because it started during the lifetime of Jesus. However, another view that we discussed in the film is that we are living in that period known as a little while, actually. This is where we live. Because something that grabbed my attention is that we often assume that this millennial time is on earth, as in Christ either coming down and then he will live with us, or it's maybe a symbolic number for us, for the church to bring about the kingdom. But we tend to focus as if it's here on earth. But really, we know that the saints, the martyrs, have been killed for their faith. They were killed because of their testimony, and they actually reign with Christ for 1,000 years, and they actually reign in heaven because it says that this is the first resurrection. Now I'm just wondering, because it says later the second death will have no power over them. The second death being the eternal, the place of eternal torment, the lake of fire. That it's sort of that image of Christ died on the cross. Satan was bound, and then he is killed. He's the first martyr. The other martyrs join with him. We know that Christ obviously was raised from the dead, but it's the vision of the martyrs reigning in heaven, actually. That is the millennial reign, and of course it would extend more than 1,000 years because we're talking about eternity. So the Satan's time he is up at that point. His days are numbered, and then after that reign, here on earth, he is let out for a little while, and that's where we live. So Satan's end has not come to a completion yet. He is still not wiped from existence altogether. So that's something to think about. Are we living in the time known as a little while, rather than seeing the millennium as something that is to come, or that we're in it right now, or that it is on earth? The millennium could be in heaven. Now, I also want you to notice in Revelation chapter 6, it talks about the martyrs once again, and they looked under he looked under the altar of all the souls who had been killed, and they shout out in a loud voice, "How long, sovereign Lord, holy and true, until you judge the inhabitants of the earth and avenge our blood?" Then notice what it says. Then each of them was given a white robe, and they were told to wait a little longer. Now, some have wanted to connect Revelation 6 and Revelation 20, that the little longer in Revelation 6 is the same as the short time, or a little while in chapter 20. Now, the martyrs are located in heaven in chapter 6, so that could help us justify seeing it in heaven. And also, of course, Revelation 6 seems to be counting down to this great day of the Lord. The kings of the earth hid in caves. They said to the mountains, "Fall on us, hide us from the one who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of their wrath has come, and who can stand it?" Now, are we talking about the martyrs waited a little while, then the great day of the wrath came in Revelation 6? Now, is the day that came also the same as the devil and the evil ones being thrown into the lake of fire, the second death in Revelation 20. So is the great day of the wrath in Revelation 6 the same as the second death in Revelation 20? Now, I'm okay with this interpretation because I do see the book of Revelation not as a straightforward chronological sequence, but actually a book that is repeating the same point over and over and over again. You know, that death is defeated, evil is defeated, and its days are numbered. You see, if we're living in the time period known as a little while, even though the devil was defeated at the cross, good and evil still exists, but his days are numbered. That is why I think we could say we're living in the end times, the last days, because evil is always in its last times. Evil's days are numbered. No evil goes on forever. And this text assures us that there is hope, no matter how bad things are going to get. Evil is defeated and it will be destroyed at the end. So I quite like this interpretation of that we're living in the period known as a little longer before we join the saints. So yes, I suppose as I conclude these thoughts, I suppose I'm not comfortable with me saying yes, I am an absolute a post-millennialist or I am a little while believer. I'm quite happy to marry some of them together, intermingle them, have a bit of this, bit of that. Listen, that's my thoughts on the millennial passage. I hope you've enjoyed these 4 videos. Please comment on them. My next plan now is to give some reflection on certain parts of the book of Revelation. So we'll talk about that in the next couple of videos and we'll see how it pans out. But thanks a lot. Take care.